Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our July 6th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students from the original edition, lesson 187. I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. No one can gain unless he I'm sitting under this poplar tree, and it's getting close to sunset. I better put my glasses on. I bless the world because I bless myself. No one can give unless he has. In fact, giving is proof of having. We have made this point before. What seems to make it hard to credit is not this. No one can doubt that you must first possess what you would give. It is the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. Having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possessed. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. How is this possible? For it is sure that if you give a finite thing away, your body's eyes will not perceive it yours. Yet we have learned that things but represent the thoughts that make them. And you do not lack for proof that when you give ideas away, you strengthen them in your mind. Perhaps the form in which the thought seems to appear is changed in giving, yet it must return to him who gives. Nor can the form it takes be less acceptable. It must be more. Wow, it must be more acceptable after you give it away in God's way of looking at things. Ideas must first belong to you before you give them. If you are to save the world, you first accept salvation for yourself. But you will not believe that this is done until you see the miracles it brings to everyone you look upon. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that by your giving is your store increased. Let's read that again. Ideas must first belong to you before you give them. If you are to save the world, you first accept salvation for yourself. But you will not believe that this is done until you see the miracles it brings to everyone you look upon. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that by your giving is your store increased. What are the miracles? Those new perceptions that you can see where abundant giving takes place, where you can look at your brother and realize that seeing them holy is your freedom. And the miracle is the ability to see them as holy, regardless of what they've done. Protect all things you value by the act of giving them away, and you are sure that you will never lose them. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. Yet value not its form, for this will change and grow unrecognizable in time, however much you try to keep it safe. No form endures. It is the thought behind the form of things that lives unchangeable. The thought behind the form of things that lives unchangeable. Give gladly. You can only gain thereby. The thought remains and grows in strength as it is reinforced by giving. Give gladly. You can only gain thereby. The thought remains and grows in strength as it is reinforced by giving. Thoughts extend as they are shared, for they cannot be lost. There is no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them. There is a giver who retains, another who will give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each will have the thought and form most helpful to him. What he seems to lose is always something he will value less then what will surely be returned to him? Never forget you give but to yourself. Wow, we're all in this together. We're given to ourself, no matter who it seems to be in this three-dimensional reality. We may be given to somebody else, but remember, they're you too. They are you too. Never forget you give but to yourself. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea that you're going to lose something by giving and the idea of sacrifice. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice, nor can he fail to recognize the many forms which sacrifice may take. He laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness and at grief, at poverty, starvation, and at death. He laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness, at grief, at poverty, starvation, and at death. He recognizes sacrifice remains the one idea that stands behind them all, and in his gentle laughter are they healed. Illusions recognized must disappear. Accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. Your blessing lies on everyone who suffers when you choose to see all suffering as what it is. The thought of sacrifice gives rise to all the forms that suffering appears to take. And sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses it at once. Oh, well, listen to that. The thought of sacrifice gives rise to all the forms that suffering appears to take. And sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses it at once. Never believe that you can sacrifice. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. Never believe that you can sacrifice. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. If the thought occurs, its very presence proves that error has arisen and correction must be made. Your blessing will correct it. Your blessing will correct it. Given first to you, it now is yours to give as well. No form of sacrifice and suffering can long endure before the face of one who has forgiven and has blessed himself. Can you let go of illusions? The illusion of sacrifice? That's what forgiveness is, letting go of illusions. The lilies that your brother offers you are laid upon your altar, with the ones you offer him beside them. Who could fear to look upon such lovely holiness? The great illusion of the fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. The great illusion of the fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. Be not afraid to look. The blessedness you will behold will take away all thought of form and leave instead the perfect gift forever there, forever to increase, forever yours, forever given away. Now are we one in thought, for fear has gone. When fear is gone, we become one in thought. Now are we one in thought, for fear has gone. And here before the altar to one God, one Father, one Creator, and one thought, we stand together as one Son of God, not separate from Him who is our source, not distant from one brother who is part of our one self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. The name of God is on our lips. And as we look within, we see the purity of heaven shine in our reflection of our Father's love. Now are we blessed. and now we bless the world. What we have looked upon we would extend, for we would see it everywhere. We would behold it shining with the grace of God in everyone. We would not have it be withheld from anything we look upon. And to ensure this holy sight is ours, we offer it to everything we see. For where we see it, it will be returned to us in form of lilies we can lay upon our altar, making it a home for innocence itself, who dwells in us and offers us His holiness as ours. I bless the world because I bless myself. So what we want to do is practice forgiveness, continue looking at the world in a way that we see only good, only love, only beauty. And we'll know that we'll get that vision, that miracle, that vision of that miracle, a vision, as we allow ourselves to see what is holy in ourselves and others. I bless the world because I bless myself. Okay, let's go take a look in our text reading, and we're ready for paragraph 81, but we're going to start up back up a little bit. We're in chapter 21, the inner picture, section 8, perception and wishes. We'll reread those 4 questions, and then we'll pick up probably in paragraph 78 and read the rest of that section. As you're turning there, let me tell you about a spinach out of the Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds catalog called strawberry spinach. I may have told you all about this before, but I wanted to tell you about it again. We've been talking about some spinaches and spinach greens. Well, this is the Chenopodium capitatum, so it's not the typical spinach, the Spinacia oleracea. This is Chenopodium capitatum, strawberry spinach, an old-fashioned plant that dates back to 1600s in Europe. This curious plant produces greens that are picked and cooked like spinach, but it also produces attractive, mildly sweet red berries. They look kind of like a raspberry. These add a nice touch to fruit salads. Easy to grow plants are similar to lamb's quarter, a wild relative. Wow, if it does good with where lamb's quarter does, it'll grow good on my garden. We've got a lot of lamb's quarter that comes up volunteer. We call it a weed. We eat a little bit of it. It says found in a monastery garden, probably back in the 1600s. So it's strawberry spinach, Chenopodium capitatum. All right, let's take a look now. Those 4 questions. Do I desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me? Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? And do I want to see what I denied, because it is the truth? Consider carefully your answer to the last question you have left unanswered still, and let your reason tell you that it must be answered, and is answered in the other 3. And then it will be clear to you that as you look on the effects of sin in any form, all you need do is simply ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? Is this what I would see? Do I want this? Paragraph 80. This is your one decision. This the condition for what occurs. It is irrelevant to how it happens, but not to why. You have control of this, and if you choose to see a world without an enemy, in which you are not helpless, the means to see it will be given you. Be willing to see a forgiven world, an innocent world, a holy world, a beautiful world, a loving world, an innocent world, a holy world is what we're really focusing on here. And you will be shown it. You don't even have to know how you'll be shown it, because that's the Holy Spirit's job. 81. Why is the final question so important? Reason will tell you why. It is the same as are the other three, except in time. The others are decisions which can be made and then unmade and made again. But truth is constant and implies a state where vacillations are impossible. You can desire a world you rule, which rules you not, and change your mind. You can desire a world you rule, which rules you not, and change your mind. You can desire to exchange your helplessness for power, and lose this same desire as a little glint of sin attracts you. And you can want to see a sinless world and let an, in quotes, enemy tempt you to use the body's eyes and change what you desire. 82. In content, all the questions are the same. For each one asks if you are willing to exchange the world of sin for what the Holy Spirit sees, since it is this the world of sin denies. And therefore those who look on sin are seeing the denial of the real world. Yet the last question adds the wish for constancy in your desire to see the real world, so the desire becomes the only one you have. The last question adds the wish for constancy in your desire to see the real world, so the desire becomes the only one you have. By answering the final question, yes, you add sincerity to the decision you have already made to all the rest, for only then have you renounced the option to change your mind again. When it is this you do not want, the rest are wholly answered. So that last question, do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? 83. Why do you think you are unsure the others have been answered? Could it be necessary they be asked so often if they had? Until the last decision has been made, the answer is both yes and no. For you have answered yes without perceiving that yes must mean not no. No one decides against his happiness, but he may do so if he does not see he does it. And if he sees his happiness as ever-changing, now this, now that, and now an elusive shadow attached to nothing, he does decide against it. Elusive happiness, or happiness in changing form that shifts with time and place, is an illusion which has no meaning. Happiness must be constant, because it is attained by giving up the wish for the inconstant. Joy cannot be perceived except through the constant. Joy cannot be perceived except through constant vision. And constant vision can be given only those who wish for constancy. The power of the Son of God, the power of the Son of God's desire remains the proof that he is wrong who sees himself as helpless. You have great power with your desire. That's why we need to desire. Do I want to see what I desire? Do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? The power of the Son of God's desire remains the proof that he is wrong who sees himself as helpless. Desire what you will, and you will look on it and think it real. That's both for heaven and hell. No thought but has the power to release or kill, and none can leave the thinker's mind or leave him unaffected. So he's basically telling us we want to desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me. Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? And I do desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin. And yes, I do want to see what I denied, because it is the truth. Wow, he's given us a lot of insights. The question is, will we slow down enough to smell the roses? Slow down enough to take it all in and get a sense of what is he really trying to say in this text reading. Do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? And will we slow down enough to really let it settle into us today? I bless the world because I bless myself. Be sure to take your 2 extended periods where you slow down for at least 5 minutes morning and evening, longer if you can, and surely try for whatever you can. And then be sure to take your hourly remembrance where you slow down and center yourselves in the peace of God and ask Him, I want to bless the world. I bless the world because I bless myself. Teach me what it means to not believe that I bless by losing, but I bless by giving. By seeing holiness in my brother, I gain. By giving what I have, even the physical world, the thought remains, and that blesses more than any form. So you cannot lose by giving. I bless the world because I bless myself. Thank you all so much for joining me on this journey. I'm sitting underneath the poplar tree somewhere near Council Bluffs, Iowa. Be sure to slow down and contemplate what we study. I bless the world because I bless myself.